So far we have covered verses 1, 2 and 3. One of the premise that we had mentioned earlier is that the author of this psalm is David. David is a shepherd by himself. When he is writing this psalm, many other ways and perspectives to look at it. But the perspective that I got gives me the picture of a journey that the sheep is taking with the great shepherd, and as he is on this journey and they are coming to different situations and contexts, and they are experiencing or seeing the shepherd in a new light, in a different perspective, with new eyes. And when they're faced with different situations, the shepherd is dealing with them in certain ways, and by that response or by that dealing, they are getting a glimpse into the nature of this great shepherd, and this in turn turns out to be a truth that when that nature of God is revealed, or when nature of the great shepherd is revealed in that particular situation, we, the people who follow him, or the sheep, get a glimpse or see him in a particular way, and we realize, Lord, you are to me, you are so and so in that situation. You are to me, it draws out a truth which I can hold on to as a promise, so that I know how to deal with that same situation when I face it the next time. We saw that in verse 1, that it talks about the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, which is in the negative, or I shall not lack any good thing, which is in the positive in the New Living Translation. It gives you the picture of a God who when you are walking with him or journeying with him, knows very well what you need. He is a God who gives you what you need, and everybody who sits here will acknowledge that if we were to check our checklist, everything in our checklist is checked off. We are blessed abundantly more than we can ever ask or imagine. Maybe everything that you ask for, he didn't give it to you. That is because he loves you. He gives you what you need, doesn't give you what you want always. When he says that I am the Lord, when the psalmist says, Lord, I am on this journey with you, you are my shepherd. I am not, because you are my shepherd and I am following you in this journey and I don't lack anything good, I realize that you are the one. It is not my ability, it is not my proficiency, it is not my qualification, it is not my degree, it is not my place in society or my status that gives me what I need, though I can be proud enough to rethink that all these can get me what I need, but in truth, the psalmist is saying is that none of this gets me what I need. You see ahead and provide for me. I work, I make money, the money brings food, clothing and all other blessings. But when you dig deep into the situation, you realize that it is not us, it is nothing about us. The Lord is Jehovah Jireh. It is the Lord whom I follow, whom you follow, who sees ahead, who as he takes me along the journey, sees ahead and gives me everything that I need. And it is a revelation of the nature of God as Jehovah Jireh, and that is a truth that you can hold on to as a promise and remind yourself, if Jehovah Jireh sees ahead and provides for me, why should I worry? Will it add 1 inch to my height? The Lord takes care of everything. I am on the top of his list. He is more than enough. He knows what I need. He will take care of me. It is definitely humbling to realize that this is not on my own strength. That there is nothing I can boast of or claim that what I see around me is mine. I did it. It's all about me. I have it. I control it. There's nothing to boast. Everything can go in a blink of an eye. It is very humbling to realize that it is never about us. It is about God, this great shepherd that we follow. He's the one who sees ahead and gives me everything that I need for life and salvation and maturity. Then in verse 2 we saw, he makes me to lie down in green pastures, he leads me beside the still waters. We saw how he is, as following the shepherd, he is not only meeting all that we need, he's also revealed himself as Jehovah Shalom. Jehovah Shalom, the Lord that heals us. Jehovah Shalom, the Lord is my peace. Lie down in green pastures talks about how he not only is concerned with our physical nourishment, he and his presence is the source of our spiritual nourishment. His presence and his word is the source of our spiritual nourishment. And he leads me beside still waters, talk about times of rest. And we saw that he reveals himself as Jehovah Shalom. And we talked about how when Jehovah Shalom is in us, the winds can blow around us, waves can crash at us, our boats and our kingdoms can rock, but we have this unexplainable thing that passes over our understanding, which we cannot put it into words or make, is not tangible or can be written or explained to another man or woman. Why is it that I can stay so calm under such dire circumstances, which we can only relate to the fact that we carry Jehovah Shalom with us and He's in us. And He's the one who leads me beside still waters, and they are still, and I can be still, I can be at peace, because I'm confident of the fact that He is the one who gives me peace, and He can give me this peace that passeth all understanding, and it is rooted in the fact I can rest in the peace that passeth all understanding, because I have rested my faith and my trust and my confidence in a God who is always on the throne. There is no obstacles. Nobody can topple His kingdom. No one can push Him down. No one can throw Him down. There is no surprises. I can trust in Him in all confusion. I can trust Him because He's sovereign, He's on the throne, and He is my peace. And I rest in peace beside the still waters. And verse 3, we talked about last time. It was very, every time I talk about that, think about it, when I think about it, is so moving and touching when we talked about how, as we are following this God on this journey, as a sheep follows a shepherd, there are times when we take our eyes off the shepherd and look away from the path that He has made for us. And we look around and we look at all these shiny things that are dangling, and we tend to wander away, clumsy as we are, distracted as we are, prone to wander as we are. We wander away only to get lost and entangled in sin and failure and compromise. And we see how He talks about that He restores my soul. This shepherd, great shepherd, when He's taking His count, realizes that we are not there in the group. We are not there in the herd. We are not there in the crowd. And He comes running and looking for us, and He finds us, and instead of spanking us and screaming at us and disciplining us, He untangles, He examines us, cleanses all my wounds, treats them, puts me on His shoulder, dances with joy, the joy of finding me and bring me back to Him. And it was so moving and so touching to know that this shepherd is concerned about everyone, each and every one. We are not a number. He's concerned about each and every one. He's concerned that, and He knows very well that we are prone to wander, and you can see a glimpse into His heart when He comes running after us and restores us. And restoration is such a big word. It includes repentance. It includes healing. It includes restoration. There's so many things that needs to be done before you're actually restored. It's not just you got lost, come here and put you back on the road. No, it's a painful. The journey to get lost was so easy, but the journey to return is so long and it's so painful. And you get a glimpse of a God who is with you, who is by your side, and who desires to clean you up, to treat your wounds, to gracefully and gently and loving you bring you back. And we closed at looking at that amazing story of how this impulsive man, Peter, loudmouth as he is, I'm the ambassador of Jesus Incorporated, speaks more than what his heart can handle, promises the Savior that he will stand with him unto death, and then when the time of testing comes, fails miserably, completely loses it, feels a failure, and just walks away and decides to go fishing. And Jesus, in his tenderness, I think it makes sense when you look at the word shepherd. Every aspect that is mentioned at the root word, poimen, every aspect, when you talk about the shepherd, when you look at his root word and its meaning, every aspect is very gentle. One who tends, one who protects, one who feeds, one who takes care. There is a gentle. He decides to go hunting for Peter, finds him doing what he only knows how to do, fishing. And takes time. He actually takes time. Jesus knows what a mess he was, and he knows what a mess he was. And Jesus actually takes some time to talk one-on-one to him and deals with him. That we talked about that discourse, and it was, I believe, it was shocking to Peter to realize that even in spite of being such a failure as he was, the Master was willing to restore him and love him and bring him back, and said, I do not stop with healing you and restoring you and comforting you. I'm asking you, now that you have gone through this, you might have given yourself up on yourself, but I'm not done with you. I needed you to go through this phase. I needed you to experience all this, because now I'm going to take you, this failure, I'm going to raise you up and make you a shepherd. Feed my lamb, tend my sheep, take care of my sheep. And we see that beautiful picture of a God who is so gentle and tender enough to take this Peter, heal him, forgive him, restore him, and reinstate him. And he's revealing himself as Jehovah Rapha. I am the Lord who not only is concerned with your physical healing, I'm also concerned with your spiritual healing also, your emotional healing, your inner heart healing. And that is a beautiful picture that we went home with, of how he's a God who is Jehovah Rapha, the Lord that heals you even in your innermost being, and he desires to restore you so that you can be used for his kingdom. Now, we're going to read verse 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Now, I don't know whether you noticed, there is a sudden switch in gears. There are two gears that are switched here. If you look at verse 2 and 3, the Bible, the sheep talks about the shepherd as he, right? He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Then the first gear that you see switched is the word I and you. It's not only he. Another gear that you see switched is everything was nice and sunny and shiny and beautiful and green pastures and good food and quiet waters and thirst being quenched, and suddenly we switch gears over here. It's all darkness and clouds and valleys. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. So we see a change in scenery. We see a change in picture. Everything around is not as beautiful as before. And it is very interesting that this is so natural of our spiritual journey. You cannot expect the spiritual journey, your spiritual journey with the shepherd, to be always sunny and shiny. In fact, I believe strongly it is the shepherd that took the sheep into the valley of the shadow of death. There's no wandering, there's no prone to wander business here. There's no going astray. The shepherd saying. So the picture I get is that in my spiritual journey, it is not always about being on the mountaintop, or always being fed in the green pastures, or always resting beside the still waters. That is there. That is there. But it is, I would say, it is the norm that the Lord will take us through the valley of the shadow of death. So sometimes there will be mountain highs, there will also be valley lows. It's normal. Christian life is never meant to be a bed of roses. A Christian is never immune from trials. I mean, I believe in my infancy as a believer in Christ, I always thought, if I follow Jesus Christ, I'm bound for heaven. It should be a pretty straightforward ride. Until I read James 1, 2 to 4. If you can turn with James 1, 2 to 4. James 1, 2 to 4. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, but let patience, testing of your faith produces patience or perseverance or endurance. You can substitute those words. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Now, I just want to give you an update that I just recently finished my third course, church history, and by the grace of God, I was able to get an A-. I happened to start a course last week. It's called hermeneutics, or the art and science of biblical interpretation. It looks like it's going to be a very tough one. But I think the professor is out to train me, or train us, the students, in that art and science of biblical interpretation. And the first exercise itself was very hard. He told us, take the whole book of Jude, and he gave a couple of headings. And using those headings, check for those things in the whole book of Jude. And he gave us a sample of what he did in the book of Philemon. And some of the things are very easy, like look at contrasts, or look at similarities, or look at figures of speech, and find it in the passage. Those are, might be very few and might be easy to pick up, or they might not even be there. Some of them are really hard. One of them it says here, it says, look at all the pronouns and find out where are all the pronouns in the passage. So you have to write verse 3, pronoun he, verse 5, pronoun they. A very rigorous exercise, but definitely enlightening. And it is very interesting. Now when I look at James 2 to 4, it makes sense. It says there, my brethren, count it all. Now I did this exercise, I'm kind of looking at it in that angle. My brother, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. Is there any version that says, my brethren, count it all joy if you fall into various trials? No. So, trials, it is not a matter of whether you will face trials, it is a matter of when you will face trials. And the journey, as we see in Psalm 23, gives me the picture that it is not always about still waters and green pastures. There is also, along with the mountain highs, there is also valley lows. And it is the shepherd that takes us into the valley, and he, in his sovereign wisdom, allows it. I believe there is a reason, and there is a plan and a purpose behind trials. My brethren, I'm not sure whether I'm ready. I think when James writes that, he's talking about a state of maturity that, I don't know, I might not have reached there yet. My brethren, count it all joy if you face trials. Count it all joy when you face trials. So it's part and parcel of our spiritual journey. And what is interesting over there, the sheep, David, the psalmist is standing in the shoes of the sheep, and he's walking through the valley of the shadow of death, and it is like going through a fire. It is like going through a trial, and in that trial, you see in it says there, I will fear no evil. So you, in the valley of the shadow of the death, it's already a gloomy situation. It's already a trial. There is so much cloud and darkness and struggles and failures. On that, you top of that, you add evil also. There is evil also there. And there is no greater example of the work of evil in the midst of a trial than if you read Job 1 and 2. So all that is happening in the valley of the shadow of death, and the psalmist is saying, as a sheep, he's saying, in the shoes of the sheep, he's saying, I am in the valley of the shadow of death. I am going through a phase in my journey where the great shepherd, I do not know why, I do not understand why, it does not make sense why, but he in his sovereign wisdom has taken me along this path. It was so beautiful on top of the mountain. It was so nice near the still waters, and I remember those green pastures. But now it doesn't make any sense why you took me to the valley of shadow of death. But I follow you and trust you, knowing that you're a sovereign God. You know what you're doing. You're in control. You're on the throne. Your will takes place. You never make mistakes. You know what's best for me. In that scenario, you see 3 promises that the psalmist is saying, I experienced 3 promises in the valley of the shadow of death, and we can hold on to those promises also. It is a revelation of the nature of God called Jehovah Shammah. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it. It's not one of my favorite names, because when I say not favorite, it's not one I'm not very familiar with. I like the Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha, and all the other Jehovah Shalom are the ones that I am more familiar with. I prayed as the name, but he is revealing himself as Jehovah Shammah. It actually means the Lord is there. It's only used once in the Bible. It's actually mentioned in Ezekiel 48:35, where Ezekiel is having this vision of the new Jerusalem being built, and the word Jehovah Shammah is used there. The Lord is there. So the psalmist is saying, the first promise I got when I was in the valley of the shadow of death, and which we also, when we are in the valley of the shadow of death, can remind ourselves or hold on, grab on to this truth, is that everything is bleak, everything is discouraging, everything is painful. None of it makes sense. I feel like I'm being just hassled by the devil. I'm not getting any rest. My boat is being shaken. My mind is like a whirlwind. My heart is on like a roller coaster. The psalmist is saying, the first promise, he says there over there, I will fear no evil. I will fear no evil. Why will I know? There is, in addition to all the troubles, in addition to everything that the valley of shadow of death brings, and on top of that, on having the evil also that I have to confront, he's saying in the midst of this, I will fear no evil. How can he say that? Because he can say that because the next verse says that I have this reassuring feeling in my heart, this confidence in my heart, I'm not alone in this valley of the shadow of death. I'm not alone. It's not that my shepherd brought me or allowed me to come into this valley of shadow of death and leave me there and throw me there and he went back to the mountaintop. No. I will not fear any evil because you are with me. Or the Lord is with me. Or the Lord is there. Jehovah Shammah. So the first promise in your valley that I want to tell you, when you are in the valley of shadow of death, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if when that happens, I want to remind you, when nothing makes sense, and when it is so discouraging, and when you're so hassled, remember, run back to the psalm and put yourself in the shoes of the psalmist who's standing in the valley of shadows and say, I will not fear any evil because I can hold on to this nature of God, this promise of God that He has revealed Himself as Jehovah Shammah. I will not fear any evil because God is with me. Jehovah Shammah, the Lord is with me in my trials. The second promise, He says there, God is with me, God is my strength. He will give me, He says that evil is confronting me in the valley of shadow of death, but I will not fear. I will be bold and I will be strong. I will not fear because I know who is by my side. I know who is walking with me. I know I am not alone in this situation. It feels like all my prayers are hitting the ceiling and falling down. It seems like God is absolutely silent. But I know I am not alone. Everything in me wants to think that way. The devil wants me to think that way. But I have to remind myself on the authority of the scriptures by running to the scriptures in Psalm 23 and say, I will fear no evil because God is with me. You have to remind yourself that truth, that assurance, that promise. He is with me. He is not only with me when I am confronted by evil. God is my strength. He will give me victory over evil. I will not be overcome by fear. And when you are in that situation and the devil is attacking you, the Bible gives you a beautiful balance of how to deal with the devil. And that principle is mentioned in James 4:7. If you can turn with me to James 4:7. It says that in James 4:7, therefore, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So there you have a biblical principle that when you are in the valley of shadow of death, remind yourself that God is with you. The Lord is there in the midst of the trial with you. That where you need not be fearful because He is not only with you, He is your strength, and you deal with the devil. You never confront the devil on your own. The biblical principle is that you confront the devil after submitting to the Lord. It never says that resist the devil first. It says submit to God, surrender yourself to God. And when He is backing you up, when He is your strength, take your fist, let Him wrap His fist around you, and then you punch the devil. If you punch the devil with your own fist, it's going to hurt. Because he's a far more superior being than you. I'm talking about spiritual talk, okay? I'm not talking about physical stuff. Only. So you always say, Lord, I submit to you. I give myself to you. I am in this valley of shadows. I am being hassled by the devil. I am your child. You are with me. You are backing me. In your power, in your strength, you wrap your sovereign, powerful, almighty El Shaddai hands around me, and then let's fight the devil together. So He is with me, He is my strength, and He will give me victory over evil, and I will not be over. The third promise that you see in the valley of shadow of death is so comforting. God is with me, God is my strength, and God is my comfort. Sometimes when you are going through a very painful situation, have you ever realized that sometimes you don't have to go? I always thought you have to fix it, and I did a lot of this in my beginning years of marriage. I always felt that you have to fix it by words. Sometimes there is no magic answer to the pain somebody is experiencing. Sometimes all you have to do is just sit by their side and put your arms around them, or take their hands and hold their hands. And God is telling us over here, though when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you do not fear, because I am with you. You do not fear, because I am with you, and I will give you the strength to overcome the devil, or the evil, or the situation, or the pain. And also know that nobody might understand what you are going through as you walk lonely in that journey, as you're very down and painful, and you're walking there. Know that I am there to touch you. Your rod and your staff, they don't spank me. They comfort me. So sometimes now I think I come to a place where comfort looks like somebody doesn't have to give me a sermon. I don't want anybody to preach to me in certain situations. All I want you to know is that you sit by my side and understand me, and sometimes you don't have to say any words. That is comfort to me. And it is very interesting. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. If you take the word comfort, if you have a spiritual lifestyle, it gives you the meaning there. It gives you a lot of meanings. It comes from the word nakam or nacham. But one of the meanings was very, very touching to me. It says there, it is the picture of his rod and his staff comforting you in that painful situation, the valley of shadow of death, is the picture that he's trying to give. Is not about, oh, I feel so, when he's comforting you, the picture he's not trying to give is, God did not come in to say, oh, it's so sad what you're going through, I know the pain. That's not a picture. It's not about casual sympathy. The study Bible says it's about deep empathy. When I say deep empathy, the difference between sympathy and empathy is, if you know that, empathy is where you actually stand in somebody else's shoes. You stand in the shoes of the person who is facing it. So the picture of Nakam is giving you over here as the great shepherd who comforts you in your valley of shadow of death. The picture you're getting over here is somebody who is weeping along with you as you weep. That is, oh Lord, I couldn't take it. The great shepherd, the Almighty God, when I am going through this absolutely meaningless, horrible, painful, unexplainable, don't understand why situation, and my heart is broken, and I don't see light at all at the end of the tunnel. God is absolutely silent. My prayers are hitting the ceiling and coming down. I don't see nothing coming good out of this. The Bible is reassuring me that when He's comforting me, He is weeping with me. Weep with those who weep. Is the picture you are getting. So that is how intimate and how close He wants to get to you, to comfort you as you're walking in the valley of the shadow. He gives you those three promises. God, that I want to encourage you to hold on, and we'll close. God, you are with me. You are my strength. I will overcome with your strength. And you are my comfort. You are my comfort, Lord. Oh Lord, I don't want any sermons. I don't want any preaching. All I want is somebody to just touch me and tell me it's okay. It's okay. You will get out. You will get through this. I am with you. I am by your side. And he touches the sheep, and when David the shepherd boy has did this, so he knows what it means. But now standing in the shoes, he's saying, oh, that touch from the shepherd's stick reminds me that he's not far behind. He's very close. He's with me. He's walking by my side. It's horrible weather outside. It's hot. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I hit a rock. I'm wounded. It's painful. This is a miserable journey. But and I feel so lonely. And then the rod touches the side of the sheep. He realizes, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. He's right behind me. What an assurance. What a promise. What a comfort. Let me close with this concept. I'm going to read 3 points that I wrote here. Maybe we can start off. I want to talk about a story when this is applied, but we'll talk about it next week. We realize from the Word of God that this is not an option for us. This is something that is part of our journey. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense, so sometimes we should not fight it. Sometimes we come across, I have to balance it also, sometimes we come across certain trials, it's because we brought it on ourselves. It's a bad decision. When we know black and white, we chose black. The Bible says this is black, this is white. I'm sorry Lord, you're not smart, I'm wiser than you, I'm choosing black. Then, as a consequence of your poor choice or unwise decision or lack of wisdom, you bear the consequences of choosing the black. And it becomes like a trial for you. The beauty of that is that in the midst of that black trial, when you realize it was you messed it up and you cry out to God, His rod and His staff will come and comfort you. Though David faced the consequences of adultery with Bathsheba, but he was forgiven. So we will face the consequences, but when in the midst of that pain, if you repent and you cry out to the Lord, the rod and the staff, He's still there with us. He is our strength, and His rod will still touch when you cry out. It's just that is one aspect of it. Sometimes you have no clue why you are going through certain situations. I want to share just in closing 3 thoughts of why trials are important in our journey, and we will start off next time with a story as to see how that applies. We looked at the story of Peter as how God restores us. I want to leave you with these 3 thoughts, and then we'll continue next week. Why are trials important in our journey? 1, trials reveal who your God is. Trials always reveal who your God is. Trials reveal who you run to. Number 2, trials reveal not only who your God is, trials reveal who you are. Trials reveal what stuff you are made of. Lastly, trials not only reveal who your God is, trials reveal who you are, and number 3, trials transform you. Because I don't know, I'm sure it's applicable for you. If you were to examine your whole Christian walk, I am what I am because of my trials. Not just that smooth road of blessing. I have learned far more from 2 incidents of trials than 20 incidents of being blessed. It's unexplainable to some degree, but it is trials that transform you. So I believe in God and all His wisdom allows it, because an amazing maturity, an amazing change, an amazing transformation happens when you go through a trial. Even though it's painful. So trials reveal who your God is, trials reveal who you are, and trials transform you. Trials actually purifies you. Trials always keep you humble. And it is, I have, and I believe you also have, seen more of God through a trial than a lifetime of blessing. It is when He lets you go through the valley of the shadow of death, and when the rubber meets the road and you feel everything that has to be felt. And when you see God in the midst of that, you see some things about God that you have never seen before. You would never have seen that glimpse of God, that perspective on God, that nature of God. You would never have seen it if you had not gone through that trial. And when you glimpse it, when you see it, Lord, even in this difficult and painful time, I see you shine so bright. Oh, I see you in a way I've never seen you before. Oh, I'm going to, and you come out of that, you come out so mature, so wise, so strong, so bold than you have ever been before. When you look at it that angle, maybe James 1:2-4 makes sense. Lord, if I want to be transformed, if I want to be purified, maybe you need to send some trials my way. And then when I go through one after the other and I become mature,